So once upon a time, I worked at a gas station, and now I'm on my path to being a CRNA. How did I get here? So back in 2015, I was finishing up my junior year of college. I had worked at the Sheets, which is the gas station in town, part-time, and I found out I was going to be a father. At that time of my life, I was so confused on what I wanted to do. I loved music, but I was just so unmotivated. At one point, I had a 2.1 GPA because I was barely doing what I needed to do in class. And then I found out I was going to be a father. And I finished my junior year barely. I was mainly just working. And I transferred down from that gas station to one in the town that I lived in, the same company, Sheets, and I promoted to a supervisor manager position, and then my son was born. At that time, many things were going through my head. I thought about just, staying, working at that company, promoting within management to a store manager, district manager, and part of me just knew that that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to, do something more with my life. My parents both worked in fast food. My sisters, they didn't go to college, so I always knew that I wanted to do that. I always wanted to be a better, example for my kids. Not that my parents didn't do what they could. It's just, I wanted to break those generational curses and, give my kids, something to look forward to look up to show that they can do things that, again, hadn't been done in my family. So I ended up leaving Sheets at the time. Again, still didn't know what I wanted to do. I was like, maybe I'll go back to school for business or accounting. I'm good at math. My cousin at the time worked at PNC Bank. I took a job in the call center, worked there for 3 years, progressed, did well. I think by the end of that year, sometime 2018, I was going to make like 55K. Didn't have a degree. I had a manager title again. So I always kept pressing forward. So I always, even that 3 years, I increased my salary by like almost $30,000. But I knew that I was not doing enough for me. Like it still wasn't what I wanted to do, right? So I thought about it. And, I thought about all the things I wanted to do, from music to, at one point, I switched to music therapy, in my prior degree. And I was interested in medicine, but again, I just felt like I couldn't do it, right? I had no examples of anyone working in the field of medicine. So I did more research, and I'm like, I could go back to school for business, took some business classes, didn't do well because I hated that. And then I looked into, again, the field of medicine, and I looked at, nursing, PA, nurse practitioner, physician, everything except for CRNA, honestly. I decided that, okay, well, nursing is a path that will get me into the door, right? It'll help me take care of people. It will help me learn about medicine and science. I'll be able to see all these different fields, and I can either stay with nursing and keep progressing within that, or I could shift gears and go to med school or do whatever. So to break through the door of the world of medicine, I tried to apply for all these patient care tech jobs, couldn't get one, and I got a job as what they called a health unit coordinator, or a unit clerk or a unit secretary in the emergency department, which is not even what I applied for. I applied for like some cardiac unit, but I got the emergency department job. When I interviewed, I told them, hey, as soon as I can, I want a patient care tech position. So I did that and started nursing school that next January. And then a few months, I think 4 months into nursing school, Easter, I think of 2019, I was moved into a patient care tech position. And from there, I finished nursing school. I completed my BSN about a year after I finished nursing school, a little over a year. I took a little bit of a break. I left the ED full time because I started as I was an ED tech, and then I was an ED nurse, and I was there for about 10 months, and then I transitioned to the ICU, level 1 CT ICU, and then things kept going on. I did some traveling. I still wasn't sure what I wanted to do, nurse practitioner, med school. Actually, at one point was taking prereqs for med school, and Yeah. And then I was I don't know, I was just so undecided, and I had went to the ICU literally just to start the clock, right? I was like, I don't know if I want to do CRNA. I had a friend who was in anesthesia school who has since graduated and is now CRNA, and she kept telling me, are you sure you want to do med school? Are you sure you want to do this? And I was not sure. I was not sure at all. All I knew is that when I started my prereq for nursing school, I made sure that I did as well as possible. I never had anything less than a B. I tried to make sure all my sciences, for the most part, were A's. My BSN was straight A's, and I wanted to set myself up for success for whatever I needed to do. And what turned the tables for me was that I went to this conference, Diversity CRNA conference held by Dr. Lena Gold, at the University of Pittsburgh in 2023. And the feedback, the motivation, the confirmation that I was supposed to be here, that I was meant to be here, was all I needed. I shadowed, I think I shadowed before that, and I liked it. And then the professional environment, putting hands on in the sim lab in that Diversity CRNA conference, it just finished lighting the spark, the shadowing had already started to give me. I shadowed, I think, one more time after that. And then at the end of that summer, September, I took my CCRN. I went to another conference because I was kind of losing steam and motivation. I was like, I can do this, but can I? Can I really? Can I get in? And then, I applied to 6 schools in September. In November, October, November, I got an interview invite, interviewed in November, got accepted to my current school the same day as my interview. And then I received subsequently 2 more interview invites. I took one, I turned the other one down because I had already gotten to my current school, which is in town. And then I took the other one, did not get in, and again, did not take the third one. But as they always say, you only need one. And And then I was doing a little local traveling, tried to save as much as I could because I got in, honestly, a lot sooner than I thought I should. And I don't know. The thing is, again, I went from gas station to bank, customer service to bank management to help, to the hospital to tech. And there was a lot of life and a lot of things happening within that time. And at any point in that process, this by the time I graduate, would be an almost 10-year process from when I, thought about going to nursing school and started taking prereqs. And there's even more of a story, that goes along with that, to me graduating with my doctorate in anesthesia. I could have stopped at any point. I could have said this was hard. At one point when I was in nursing school, I didn't have, a vehicle. I was walking, through the snow multiple miles to get home some nights after work. I was working more than full-time in nursing school. I made a way out of no way to get a vehicle. So I was doing Uber and Lyft and doing all these things full-time while I was in nursing school. And I could have just stopped. I could have just said, okay, let me go back to the bank. They said they would take me back. I was making almost $60K. I could have made even more if I would have taken the next position they wanted to. But I knew that I wanted more out of life. I knew that the future that, again, I wanted to provide my kids, the future that I wanted to see, the life that I wanted to live, and even the inspiration that I received from other CRNAs and mentors eventually, are things that I want to pour back into the community and pour back into other people. And I knew that if I stopped, if I didn't reach my goals, that I couldn't do that the way I wanted to. So, yeah, like I said, by the end of this, it will be a decade-long journey, but so worth it.